Brown. Thank you.
I have a motion to approve minutes. Second,
Second.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Let's go to committee discussion. Jason, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Before you get started, I do want to say how much I appreciate the enthusiasm that you brought to Central SD and to the area. And hopefully you got other things to talk about other than just being enthusiastic.
No doubt, 100%.
I do appreciate your energy. I think
Thank you.
it means a lot. And so anyway, thanks for being here again, and thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much. Again, Jason Giulietti with the Central South Carolina Alliance. So thank you for the time this afternoon. Thank you for the kind words.
We're already looking for meetings to 2026.
That's right.
I got that waiver.
That's right. Hopefully you guys all did. That's right.
I hope I'm still around.
This is good. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to be excited about. So that's where I want to share a little bit of kind of looking back for you guys. Just spend a few minutes from the last time I was with you guys back in November. That's shocking it was that long ago, but there's been a lot that's transpired. Yes, I look back at the calendar. I'm like, it didn't feel like November, but it has been. So with that, there's been a lot of changes at Central that I want to share, and then I want to share where we're going into the future because it all ties together. First off, the team has been growing. One of the things that when I walked in the door of the organization, the resources we provided via the talent in-house was reduced, and we're growing that back now through the right channels. And we brought on an economic development coordinator, a new resident from City of Columbia that's now our office manager. And we've reinvigorated our internship program to take advantage of the youth that are here that are interested in our field of study. So excited that is now growing back. Next, we've re-engaged our partners, and you guys are a good example of that, but also our private sector partners, and energize them to get back behind our mission, back behind our goals. Again, hold us accountable to what we're doing, but their resources are important, as are yours, and we need to make sure we have everybody together on that same page. We've started our investor meetings. I know some of you have attended. I encourage you to continue to join us on those. If you haven't, we do them every other month, where we simply show you the return on your investment in every single way. We provide you every bit of data we can on everything we're doing, and every resource we deploy has a tracking and a KPI associated to really show you what we're doing and the results that are coming alongside that. So you can hold us accountable on every step of every resource we have.
Jason, can you add me to these meetings?
I certainly can, no doubt. Our next one is in September. I'll send you and make sure you're added to that. We do bounce around all local businesses, by the way. We don't go to one location. You don't come to our office. We partner with folks. The next one is at the beer garden down the road, and we do it for about 45 minutes of 45 minutes of networking and pleasure. The goal is for you guys to get to know each other just as much as we share information with you. On top of that, we've reinvigorated and really deepened these relationships, and it's important to highlight our relationship with the University of South Carolina. That has been a resource and an asset, I will tell you, we have not really leveraged the way we should have, and we've deepened it, meaning it's not just the School of Engineering. It's not just the School of Business. I mean, we have penetrated through other schools and colleges. Most notably, we just were with music, and we're actually utilizing and engaging their resources to help go out and attract just as much as the traditional schools and colleges. We also formed a new relationship and have re-engaged with SC Bio. That's important because be doing for the city and with the City of Columbia in the future, but one we think is critically important to this region and this city in particular in terms of helping attract new companies to the region. We've also strengthened our relationship with the Columbia Chamber. They are now an extension of us, and we're an extension of them. They partner with the community we can to show off and strengthen what they offer and their value proposition just as much as what Central does. On top of that, the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Can't be understated enough. When we talked about it, you guys said, we are right there alongside them, helping support them. I actually sit on their master plan committee as a formal member and have been engaged significantly to help them grow that airport and kind of the assets around it. And then lastly, one other one I want to highlight is the Midlands Leadership Business Group. Many of you guys know that group and organization. We have aligned ourselves together in a win-win value proposition with some really exciting things where I can share that at their next meeting will be live, where we are going to seamlessly integrate some of our efforts so that we're not competing with each other and we're not duplicating, we're collaborating. And I'm really excited to share what's up ahead in that front. And then on top of that, we've really focused a concerted effort around telling the story of Columbia and its business community here. I'll share here in a minute. The two areas I want to talk a little bit about are marketing and lead generation. Those are our two primary focus areas. On the marketing side, I told you last time that we were going to be hiring a national public relations firm. We've done that. Newman right here in our backyard to help us get earned media stories around the world, not just in our backyard, around the world. Actually had a featured story in Trade and Industry magazine highlighting the Columbia Airport and talking about the asset it is through the lens of the airport and the businesses around the airport. Published earlier this year, and we had Experience Columbia come in to round out the quality of life component of the city as well in that. We've also engaged local radio, podcasts, as well as national podcasts talking about Columbia, talking about why this region is ripe for development on everybody's radar. We also will be announcing here by the end of this year a new brand. It's not a new name. Eddie, I know you are very much an advocate of a name, but we are rebranding ourselves and our imagery that goes with that to represent. I do think it's going to uniquely position the city of Columbia to showcase you guys at the heart of what we are, and we'll be excited to share that here very soon when we release that in about a month or two. On the lead gen side, we've launched a very, very robust lead generation program, all through data. It's a very data-driven approach. We are identifying around the world that we know align best with the assets here in Columbia and in the region. So it's not just on a dartboard saying we should go to Germany because that's where we should be. It's using data to look at our past successes, our current assets, and drive markets. We've also are launching an international program. We've been doing domestic for the last 6 to 8 months. We will now go into international markets just as much, using that same approach. All the lead gen trips I will share, we've included city staff to join us. Ryan has joined us on some of these trips. Grace has been out there. Our goal is to rate the city as much as possible on these opportunities. I will also share when we do these meetings and we identify these companies, it is not in a vacuum. We share every single note we take as it relates to the company before, during, and after the visit, and we share that with every single one of our communities, including the city. So it's full transparency. Whether it fits the city or not, we give them the notes, and ultimately, if there's a solution the city can provide, that's what we're here to do, is provide that quality. On top of that, we've also engaged heavily with site consultants, I will share. We had one opportunity Ryan and I were with back in December that actually led to a project, and that was Schneider Electric, that ultimately announced here as a result of the relationship. So these relationships matter, and they lead to projects and lead to jobs. And that's what we're here to do is get those jobs. On top of that, we're getting more and more direct calls from consultants about Columbia, which is great. As opposed to coming through the other channels, when they come to us direct, we got a tremendous head start differentiating ourselves from the rest of the country. On top of that, I will share we hosted a site consultant down here to Columbia specifically for our annual meeting, where we had a person from Global Location Services come in and talk about how Columbia compares and contrasts to other parts of the country and why we're positioned the way we are, and through their data lens, where are our advantages and where are there opportunities for us to get better. That said, this fall in October, you guys are all invited. Please join us for a familiarization tour where we invite 6 of the leading site consultants from around the country to Columbia, South Carolina. They're staying right here, Hotel Trundle. They will be housed for 3 days, where we will take them around Columbia and the region and show off why this place is better than anywhere else in the country for a destination for their clients and business. So excited to be there with that. We've already partnered up and are working closely with the economic development team, as well as the airport and others, where we'll take them on aerial tours, you name it. But the goal is to show off why this place should be home for their client. On top of that, as I mentioned, the master plan committee with CAE, we've actually hosted several site consultants, both virtually and in person, looking at the parcels around the airport to show off. Again, right now is a blank slate to some degree. Will not be in a couple of years, I promise you. But right now, showing off where those potentials are and the willingness of the airport to partner up with them on these opportunities. So really excited about that. And then some other specific examples I'll share. The mayor had a trip recently to Switzerland a couple months back. We provided some lead generation support to several meetings, one of which has come to fruition, and actually we hosted alongside the mayor about a month ago here in Columbia. So the lead generation does translate to opportunity. Hopefully that one does get over the finish that to an operation here, but we are partnering up and supporting you guys in any way we can. Another one that we're also working on and we're coordinating, not trying to be the only one doing this, but bringing partnerships together. SC Bio, I mentioned earlier, alongside the city will be joining us. MUSC, USC, are all getting together to strategize how we can leverage the Bull Street development and looking at that as a life science driver, knowing we have the developer committed to put in some potential lab space. How do we make sure that's a success company and then graduate that to permanent location beyond that? So we're working right now to coordinate all efforts so they're centralized through one location, not happening in 5 different silos. And then on top of that, we're hosting companies here. We have a delegation of Slovenian companies joining us in about a month. So we'll be working alongside Ryan and team. We got about 30 companies joining us that want to understand the Columbia market. And we're going to house them right downtown here, and we're going to be showing them off what's here and why this place. We will see more and more of those as we deploy our international strategy. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. On top of that, excited, we've undertaken an effort with Israel, seeing that we believe Israel is a country that we think has potential for the city. We've now met a couple times now with the Israeli consulate out of Atlanta, securing the value proposition for them and for us on where there's opportunity. So we're making inroads right now. We're going to have an in-person meeting before the end of the year with the office out of New York, which leads all trade delegations for the country. And our goal is ultimately to host at least one delegation next year and ultimately potentially go on a trade mission led by essentially the city and some of you guys here at the table and maybe some business leaders to meet with potential companies and tell them why they need to come to South Carolina, in particular if they're looking for U.S. market entry. So excited for that. That would be in the spring of 2025. On the organization side, we have new board leadership. We've kind of shaken things up a little bit and excited to have Mr. Brown, Peter, join our executive board as well as our board of directors, taking the City of Columbia's seat. So really excited to have him on board, as well as Dr. Stephen Cutler taking the USC seat, which I think is going to be great, leading economic development initiatives. But some good fresh faces on the board, excited about it. That has really helped lead to board engagement. When I got here, we didn't have a quorum for the first two meetings, which was extremely disappointing to me, but our last meeting, we had almost 100% participation. Our executive committee next week is 100% participation. We're getting people's attention and we're getting their time, which is the first step to taking it to that next level. So excited for that. Those investor meetings I mentioned, we're getting 75 to 100 people showing up every single time, and it's only growing each time. So excited to share that because it puts a lot of spotlight on the city and its potential. And those that aren't familiar with the city get familiarity through some of the information being shared. Our FY25 budget passed. Our fiscal year started July 1st. What's exciting there is we have resources from the state that we have not deployed, and we need to deploy them. So we're aggressively utilizing this to go out there and strengthen some of what I just mentioned on the lead gen side. So we will be deploying quite a few dollars to make things happen and are happy to do more based on your guys' feedback. So really excited about that. And then we will be undertaking a strategic planning process here very shortly. When I say a strategic planning process, it's not Central's plan. It's going to be the region and the city's plan. So there will be stakeholders from this room, of course, and many others that will come together and help shape what the next essentially 24 months look like. And we'll annualize goals against it. We'll prioritize our industries and what we need to do. Everything we can control, we will certainly drive and make sure we hit those goals, but we want to incorporate everything else as well. Childcare, affordable housing, you name it, needs to be thought through in this plan just as much as what we're doing. So we will be the leaders and put that plan together with everybody's input and then have a work plan that will deploy start of fiscal year 25 or 26, pardon me, which will be July 1st of next year. So we'll take the next 9 months to get there. That said, we're building. I shared the last 6 months. That is what just has transpired. I tried to kind of keep it simple. There's obviously more, but where our goal is to walk into the remainder of this year very aggressive on attracting companies, telling that story, a lot more opportunities I can't share yet because they're not public, but we'll be there to highlight the city in particular, and we'll be there to showcase what's happening here alongside with hopefully attracting more and more companies that will lead to these announcements and more jobs for the residents. So that's my report for the last couple months. Excited, I know you are in budget season, so I would ask if the city would consider going back up to its traditional funding level. That is one that's important to us, $72,000 annually. That would go tremendous to giving me the strength to go behind when we do talk to other supporters that we have 100% participation from our public sector partners. But that said, I'm happy to answer questions, go into any more detail you guys would like.
I got a couple comments. Everyone else. So it seems to me like you're in the working hard phase. Stuff, which I think that's the number one phase for everybody. It should be work really hard and try to build something sustainable part. So, a couple things that I think we want to be involved in as a city, which is number one, city manager, he's telling a story. We got to make sure we're all on board with what the story is. You know, I think our story's evolving all the time. So we got to make sure that all these partners we're all on the same page. So that's number one. Number two, I love the concept of the investor meeting. We've got to get the business community engaged in the we part of us, not the singular part of us. So I love that. Also, the airport strategy, I think it's the same strategy for the airport. They got to get the business community on board, and they got to get them to buy in to something. And then the strategic planning, I think that's also super important. You know, traditionally we've just cast a big net out there and see how many fish get up into the net on their own, and then high five each other, and then kind of go back to sleep. So anyway, I think it's important that we really have a purposeful strategy for Columbia in the region. And I think we're, after listening to you, I really feel like the city could have given the same presentation to you that you gave to us, so that we're all on the same wavelength. So.
Well, thank you. And I'd just give you two comments back. On the business community side, I've been spending a lot of time courting business investment. I'd love that number to get up significantly, because not only just the resources, but the people and the talent that goes with that merges together to really shape what we're going. So that's very intentional, and we're spending a lot of time, or I'm spending a lot of time there. And then, the airport most definitely is one that we see a ton of opportunity. So we're trying to double down as much as we can. On the strategic plan, the last thing I'll share there, once that is done, we will annualize goals that I'll put in front of our board of directors to approve, and then they will be posted publicly. So everybody can hold us, when I say accountable. So we, at the end of the year, will view success, whether or not we accomplished what we set out to do.
Yeah, totally agree.
Mr. Chair, it just makes me think about these ED partners who are here with us today. We probably should have said to your point about the messaging after a previous Economic Development Committee meeting and our marketing efforts. We were instructed to provide actual messaging themes that we've embraced to some of our bigger partners that are, we financially truly support through HTAX. But it makes sense to do it with you all too, so we'll get that to you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you. Howdy.
I had a chance to see the marketing and promotion support with the dedicated webpage. I believe I accidentally stumbled upon it.
Okay.
Do you have any stats about how well that did if you had folks visit that?
I definitely can tell you that. I have to go back and get it, but I can
Okay.
definitely share it. Yep. And we're relaunching, just one of the things that I kind of alluded to with MBLG. We're kind of taking the Start SC page that's there, which is our quality of life piece, and turning it into a workforce development piece. And we're partnering with MBLG to do that. So it's a way to tell the story through video and capturing of content that marries up the business and workforce development side. So that's going to kind of be a relaunch versus what it's been is another job board that kind of got lost from feedback I heard in the shuffle. So we're kind of dialing it in something that which hopefully will be unique and a place to consolidate resources with different organizations than trying to compete with 5 other job boards.
Great.
And I think that in general, continuing some of that marketing and promotion support of the numbers and, speaking to potential investors in a way that's compelling is an area that you can continue to support us with, given that our economic development team is being pulled in 10 different directions. So I hope that you all will continue to support that and help us with that.
Most definitely. And we will have, and we do report those out at our investor meetings. So all the data you're requesting is part of that.
Jason, appreciated you and your team's efforts at the last strategic plan, and really enjoyed the tour of the Michelin
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed.
plant. That was pretty amazing. We talked at the Economic Development Office about this life science initiative, international recruitment. And it's great to get that update. You definitely have experience in prior contacts that you brought forward, and we appreciate that so much. As far as bringing all of the entities together that you listed, all of our healthcare outlets, universities, please lean on the city to help, set those dates to really get a yay, nay, we will attend. I really think that is something that we need to lift up timeline-wise.
Yep.
For the biggest bang for our buck on ROI. Especially just, it's always about the talent pipeline and keeping it local. So with that said, do you have any more details you can share from just the general summary you gave us about meeting with the Israeli, healthcare sector?
Yep. So we are targeting right now an in-person meeting. We go to New York, New Jersey area in December on a marketing trip, which I believe, Councilmember, you might be joining us on, which is great. Thank you. Where we'll meet with companies, but alongside that, we will meet with the Israeli Trade Mission Office. And at that point, my plan is to lay out to them going on a trade mission in May of 2025 with the city leading that. We'll organize whatever, but the face is you guys. To one of the world's biggest bio life science conferences. And it's not a conference where everybody's selling product. It's a conference around intellectual thought leadership in the life science space. And the companies that are there are looking for entry into different markets. So the goal would be to attend that for a day, get the city a prominent speaking role in front of the crowd, but then also use it as an opportunity to go meet with companies on the ground. Those that are interested in coming to the United States, we can get audiences with individual companies and probably smaller groups and engage further. So that's kind of a little bit of a rough timeline we're doing. Outside of Israel, we've also launched this international strategy. Life science and is a huge component of that. We've identified the first couple markets we're going to travel to penetrate that. So we'll be sharing those here in the next week as opportunities where we will target those companies. Ultimately, once we qualify them, visit them in market and tell that story. You guys as a city would certainly be invited to participate.
Well, I guess that's my point is, there's a lot of inputs to telling that story, especially for you.
Yes.
When you've got the healthcare communities, the universities, the city, who, are you coordinating that?
That's our plan right now. So we've pulled together this meeting with SC Bio. The city will be there. Ryan will be there with us alongside USC. And the goal is everybody's been talking in different directions. So we said, we'll pull you all together. Let's all talk and roadmap what we should be doing.
You're the
together.
facilitator.
That's our plan.
With the network.
Our plan is to play this role on kind of a larger macro level. So that way it doesn't get mired down in the.
No, I think that's a great niche for you, honestly.
That's our plan. In every conversation we can be in, that's our plan, is to
Yeah.
play that convener, but then also provide a roadmap with deliverables, to make sure it gets done. That's our plan.
Please, I mean, use the city if you
Thank
need
you.
to set some dates and.
Thank you.
get some people at the table.
We will plug you in every way. Trust me, those offers don't.
Not me,
go
Peter,
unchecked.
not me. Peter is
Well, I was
the
gonna
commodity.
say, to completely date myself, Governor Sanford talked a lot about clusters, economic clusters. It was likely just ahead of our time back then, but it was, the concept really does make sense. It's kind of a food court mentality for business.
Yeah.
So we do have, a bio cluster here. We really do.
That's important.
Yeah.
Without that, you're not going to get any further, yeah.
I do think that's worthwhile to kind of try to organize our efforts in that respect. Goes back to the purposeful and strategic, versus random and,
And we will, I think, having you on our executive board as well, because that will meet frequently to have the city's voice in some of these strategic conversations. That way, we're not just Will having to reach out to you guys independently. They'll stay basically in tandem together, which I think will really help strengthen everything.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, any other questions? Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
November.
I know, it's crazy.
Okay, well, I'm gonna book you like you did me, Wall Street meetings. Go ahead, get your calendars set up for the next year and a half. Ryan, you wanna? Sir, get from here. So, I think y'all were provided copies of these in advance. I have some extras in case you want. This is just our spreadsheet with our economic development partner agencies. We have worked with everybody over the past couple of weeks, going back reviewed scopes of work, updated those for the fiscal year 24-25 year, and are here to have that discussion with you. Get your thoughts, get your feedback, see if there's any changes or adjustments y'all would like to see in these. The funding levels are pretty consistent over what we typically do with our partners on a year-to-year basis. The only changes that you would see going forward is we have added Columbia Opportunity Resource in there per a discussion we had with y'all a few months ago as well, and then incorporated the request from Central SC to get back to the standard 72,000. Everything at this point remains pretty much consistent with what we did in the last fiscal year. And so all of the partners have joined us here today, and so if there's any discussion or questions y'all have, we'll be glad to respond to those now. I think what's really important to me going into the 24-25 cycle is the collaboration, the coordination of efforts, and just the being completely on point for what everyone's purpose is as far as what we're trying to accomplish as a community. So I would like more involvement with these groups, not less, and also even kind of structurally as far as what else do you need in order to fulfill what your mission is? What do you need? There's more to it than money, but what do you need? How can we help you? How can we get out there? How can we get the connection that you want? How can we do stuff that you can't do on your own? It feels like we're ready to make all of this a team sport going forward. And I want it to be football instead of golf. And it just feels like it's always been golf in Columbia. And I'm guilty of it too. I've always, we've traditionally done almost everything on my own, without the concept of how you can be better with everyone else working the same program.
And you'll see that in some of the scopes of work. It is a conversation that we've been having over the past few months. I think y'all raised that point formally. And so even within some of the scopes of work, looking at the various partners and where some natural alignment occurs. So, opportunities were to do things more in collaboration with Columbia Opportunity Resource and GrowCo, who, are both focused on, youth and innovation and talent. Having discussions with the World Affairs Council and Central SC, where's the alignment there for the international work that we do? How can we do some of these things together? And so, yeah, that's occurring right now. We've already baked that into some of the scopes of work, and we'll be very intentional about that over this upcoming year. I think we've got a good foundation to build on, and if we get some of these things in the row.
It just feels like we got to take advantage of the opportunity we currently have, and we got to, make stuff happen. So what I would specifically request at some point is we have kind of like a summit of partners and really try to drive the business community into this with us and just try to exploit's the wrong word, but it's true. We want to exploit the business community for their own good. I mean, that's what it's about. You want to exploit them for their own good and get them involved, and then get them involved in the right way with the right strategy and purpose for bringing Columbia forward. It's going to take more than us. It's going to take everybody. So I really feel like we're there. Anyway, any comments on?
Yeah, so in terms of the services, I'd like to see a little bit more of a quantitative, something measurable over time, right? And I know some folks have included, like Columbia World Affairs Council is going to identify 5 business leads. But then I see, like for CORE, some of these things have already happened. Like we've already added a new partners page on the CORE website. I think the one that's most important, to make measurable is the coordinating and collaborating. Like, what does that actually mean, and what is that resulting in? It's easy to say that, but I would love to see, for example, I'll take GrowCo as an example. They're going to be coordinating with community partners such as Economic Development Corps and other to host events. How many do you plan on hosting? Have you done some before? What are some examples of success sharing in terms of some of the goals that you've met? So in order for us to get to where I think you're going, we got to move away from we work together and everything's great, but it's not, because we're not where we want to be. That doesn't mean we don't have very talented groups trying to work towards the better good of Columbia, but before we award dollars to these partners, I'd just like to see a little bit more granularity in terms of what success looks like. And then how does that directly benefit the city, but then also how is the city a equal partner in that work?
Dr. Bustles did a much better job
She did a
than I
good job,
did, which is
yeah.
not unusual, but to add a little color to that too, and how are you gonna work together? So how is GrowCo gonna work with the incubator?
With
And how is
incubator,
CORE,
yeah.
and how are you gonna work to not be in a singular lane? How do you turn this into a team sport? And that's really what, and you're right, how is it measurable? How can you, at the end of the day, when can you go home and drink a Miller Lite, how can you tell yourself that you accomplished something other than I worked hard? And again, I'm a big believer in the working hard phase, but there's just more to it at some point. Otherwise you get burned out.
And full disclosure, there may be things you're already doing that are just not captured in here. For example, I know Capture Columbia does a lot of stops on Main Street. Are there quantitative metrics that you could be showing that shows a better collaboration between CORE and City Center partnership where the average person wouldn't think that that type of relationship exists because we think, oh, City Center, yellow shirts, right? That's what the average person may think. So really being able to quantify that, for me, also makes it easier to be oh, they need more money because they're showing success and progress over time, and they're actually defining collaboration in a way that is directly benefiting some of our initiatives as well.
Great.
Is this your summary? Did the groups provide more detail about budget ask versus and kind of past performance?
So we took the scopes of work that typically go in the partner contracts and then just added those in at the
Okay.
end, reflective of some of the updates that we
In the future,
discussed.
we could request from them more light on exactly this
Yeah,
conversation.
and I think to Councilman Brown's point, probably we need to have the group convening sooner rather than later. And if we have this conversation all together,
Yeah,
We
I
should be
think
able to-
we should just have all our partners go back, get the pencil out, really tighten this up, and then let's work on making a difference. And working together and really accomplishing something. And you can have individual accomplishments, we're just gonna need some group accomplishments too, that I think we should identify.
Yeah, and I think that can be identified. I mean, some of them can be identified in this process of our partner contracts as well. Obviously, longer term goals, we would want to have a convening of some kind to do some more strategic, planning, but I mean, I'm excited. There's a lot of potential. I think we can do a better job of capturing some of that.
I think one of the takeaways we wanted to learn about CORE, for example, how was the growth this year? Lee, I mean, did you grow participation?
Yes, yeah, we did. In particular with Capture Columbia, we had,
Sorry, you got a
Sorry,
corner right
just
there.
giving you a heads up, Lee, I'm sorry.
We have the transcript. Thank you.
We always forget.
Lee Goebel, Columbia Opportunity Resource, I'm the chairperson now for this year. And with Capture Columbia in particular, we had more than triple the amount of people register this year than they did in our first year 3 years ago. And on top of that, our average participation rate was more than double what it was the past 2 years. So yes, people are excited about it, and the more we get the word out about it, the more people want to participate, and the more, once again, what we showed in our presentation 5-6 months ago, that 100% of students were considering Columbia as an opportunity after college, and they weren't going into Capture Columbia. So it's working. Yeah,
That
we're
makes
getting that
at
growth.
least us 3 elected officials confident that we invested in the right
Just need
group.
Jason to get him a job.
There you go.
We can
Or
work
they
on
can
that.
start their own job through GrowCo.
Yeah, sure.
create their own
Yeah,
job.
there you go.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, lots of opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Since, and I know I'm not, you don't have to transcribe this here. Since we've been sitting here, I did ask our marketing and communications team to send in conjunction with Ryan, the brand guidelines. So they've already had some external type sessions with some other partners that they can do. But I think to underscore what I'm hearing from Dr. Bustles and Mr. Chair, Mr. Brennan, is that those themes that are in that document, I think should also somehow help connect the things you're doing as well, because that is truly the direction that the city is going from a visual identity standpoint. So I think that'll be helpful as you all talk.
For sure, and the timing feels right. It just feels like this is the right time, and we're in the right place, and we just gotta be more together, and really just, and you got good stories to tell us, and again, you gotta tell everybody's gotta tell their story, and then we gotta combine that story into a singular story that's about us.
Well, I feel like that could be an exercise that, again, is done at the convening. It's one thing to read a document that has like the words you should use, but it's another to actually go through the exercise. Like, so what do you say when you're selling to someone this city? Right? I would be very interested to hear how people say it differently, because there's no right way, but then also we could be pulling some common themes as we think about our contracts or think about, projects that we're working on together. So, Ryan, get to work on the convening.
So, good. All right, anything else, Will?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Did we, so consensus to move these, what do we need to do with this?
We got time, don't we?
Ish.
Do we have time? Say yes or no.
I mean, we can take it to,
Could we pull together that detailed kind of connectivity?
That's what I was gonna
Just
say. I would
not
like,
detailed, but
I mean,
just-
if we could just have everybody go back, take a run at this, and then
That'd be
send
great.
it
we
back
can
to us.
also do consensus,
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
doesn't have, we
Like I
can.
say, I think we all are very,
There's consensus to move forward
Yeah.
with refinements.
yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
fine. I can live with that.
When we come back September 10th, I think we'll have enough time to kind of pull together either an overall group meeting or some subgroups and give you all the information you want.
Yeah, but if in that time, like this can be updated, or if they get that to us sooner, we can
But I think it's a good exercise for y'all too,
Yeah.
to look at, where you wanna go, but also what you've accomplished and why. Part of accomplishment is why, otherwise you're just lucky, and that's
Well,
not
and
true.
this is the type of stuff that should go in the committee folder, so we can look back,
Right.
Say, oh, wow, they really have grown, there is the connectivity.
We also have a doable group now. I've kind of seen this discussion over the years, ebb and flow, and this group of partners here is finally streamlined, I think, enough that they actually do have ways of connecting on some of these key things. There've been times where this group of, I think it's a 7 here, or thereabouts, it was a much bigger group than what you all have before you. So that in and of itself is progress to me, that's the manager, so.
The committee structure has been great in that it's created more of the opportunities for feedback from council direct to the partners. Historically, the partners would come in at one general council meeting per year. There'd be some discussion. I think this is more real-time live feedback. It gives us a better opportunity to refine things.
Good. Well, thank you all of y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming.
Seriously, thank you
Yeah.
for what you're doing for Columbia, and we appreciate you. All right, Will, you want to lead us into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we enter into executive session for discussion of matters relating to the proposed location, expansion, and provision of services, encouraging location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body pursuant to SE Code 30-4785 for Project Sparrow, and discussion of negotiations incident to propose contractual arrangements pursuant to SE Code 3470A2 Trinity Partners.
Got a motion, have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's go.